Good day. Hello. Greetings. Hope this finds you well. My name's Luke, and just kind of want to introduce myself and introduce what I'm going to be doing here. I'm in California, in the Sierras, kind of near Tahoe, Placer County, Nevada County. And yeah, I just launched this website, and this is going to be the beginning of a podcast, so I can talk about all the things that I'm going to be posting about. Some of you know me already, but for those who don't, I am a dad. I'm an artist, a musician, martial arts, visual arts, dancing. And yeah, I spent a lot of time teaching kids, and I have an 8-year-old. And so what I'm planning to do is share some things that have been passed to me over many years, in the efforts of hopefully making our lives more enjoyable. I had a teacher recently. His name is Fejadura. Shout out to Fejadura. And he opened my eyes a lot about how joyful life with kids and teaching kids and joy as a vehicle. And then, also drawing from my teacher, Mestre Doutor, my teacher, Tom Brown Jr., and so many other people along the way. And I see an urgency to collect and preserve things that can't be written down necessarily, or things that need to be experienced in order to be passed down. And I think this is why people say that the spoken history, the oral history, is more true than the written history, because it's the story of, your families and your, what happened to individual people and how it changed them. And many languages have been lost over the years, over the last 100 Industrial Revolution years, and a little bit further back, languages disappear, right? And languages have those certain words that take paragraphs in another language to describe what that word means. Or sometimes you can't even describe what the word means, you have to experience it. And I'm trying to build a little group, build a little forum where we can help each other use new lenses and find new ways to experience our lives and interact with each other, and to bring more joy into our lives, and to become stewards or sort of guardians of a certain knowledge that is at risk of disappearing, which is really just the knowledge of our families and the knowledge of skills. One of the things I think about a lot is if fire, how did we get fire? How did we create fire? And my personal sort of view on it, fire existed in the ecosystem Fire existed near volcanoes. You could go touch the lava and light some stuff on fire. And other than that, lightning strikes and fire was rare. You had to find it and preserve it, right? And then we had the idea as a collective to create fire, and that idea came from individuals originally as a theory, as a possibility that we could, I think we can make this stuff. And my opinion is that had to be passed down through generations, that before getting fire, you passed down where you were at in that process. You know, grandpa got smoke, or great grandpa got smoke. Grandpa got this little like orange thing, and we all like it was close. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it this generation, you know. And I don't know how long that took, but I don't reckon it was a spontaneous. Maybe it was, but a spontaneous discovery. I think it takes time. And then once you have that knowledge of how to generate an ember from friction, if you don't pass that on, you're literally back to square one and you have to relearn everything. And imagine if you had to, you know, we think we're advanced, but send a scientist into the woods with nothing, and they don't get food until they make fire, and see what happens, right? Just because you know a specialized skill in one field, you know, we're not holding the knowledge of our whole generations, is my point. I think science is important, but it's also, you know, a double-edged sword. And I was talking about this with a friend just the other day, that the sacred, what is sacred? What is value? What is worthy? What is virtue? What is ethics? What is good? And to me, humans are caretakers. And we can step into our caretaker role. And we need to step into our caretaker role. But, yeah. So, I'm creating this little forum where I'm going to share some skills to help us develop new lenses and develop ways of learning and sharing and practicing and all these things, and make it joyful and have fun as like the vehicle. And how do we do that? And just to bring some basic things is what I'm starting with. Just kind of concepts, and so I'm going to cover those and just talk about them. They're on the website I just put up, which is myname.com, lukeheffley.com. And, but yeah, briefing and debriefing was one of these first skills that I presented, and I think it's a really great thing to just understand how it's functioning in your life already and how to tweak it to have just more success and more fulfillment in just all the activities you do, anything you do. So briefing is getting information, giving information before an event, before a activity, before something happens, right? And it's a chance to set our goals, to kind of envision how things are going to happen, what steps we need to take. Mise en place is like a idea that chefs have, that everything in its place. Where does everything need to be to work the most efficient, right? If you're cooking on a line, your ingredients for all the dishes that you're responsible for cooking should be organized in a way that you could reach for them blindfolded and have them, right? And that's a hard thing to do, being organized like that. But um, one of my favorite restaurants I ever worked at was Delfina Pizzeria in San Francisco. And they were very good about training their staff how to slow down at the beginning and write your good list and organize well and go shopping and then work, right? So you're not running back and forth. Going shopping means go to the pantry, go to the fridge, get everything you need for the day on a big tray because you took the time to organize it, right? And so when you move into your day, my day, and I'm always working on this too, how to plan ahead, how to set an intention. I also like being spontaneous. So what does that look like though? And can I be organized in my chaos? Can I have some visions, some little goals of where I'm headed? And that can happen the night before. You can be briefing yourself on what you're doing, right? And when you wake up in the morning, what's your routine? Tim Ferriss, who's a big podcast guy, hopefully I love these podcast guys, but yeah, Tim Ferriss talks about how you only have a certain amount of decision-making bandwidth in a day's time. And so if you have something different for breakfast and you have, too many clothes to choose from, too many shoes to choose from, your decision-making on the things that are important you're going to be less able to do it, right? It's going to drop in quality, your decision-making. And yeah, I think that's, briefing kind of allows us to take some of the spontaneous decision-making out of the picture. And this is really important for working with kids. Kids need structure. They thrive on structure when you give it to them, right? They love chaos, it looks like, but you let it go too far. I saw two dogs playing yesterday, and this dog just there was a bunch of people sitting on grass, and the dogs were sprinting around two German shepherds, big dogs. And these people were not worried. They're just sitting, and the dog, right? It's like, what do you expect? This chaos. Nobody organized these dogs. Nobody took the time to be like, this is not going a good direction. These dogs weren't briefed. It's really what the dogs were not briefed, and the people were not briefing the dogs. It's not the dog's fault. They didn't know what it was expected of them. They had freedom in a certain, but they thrive off of knowing what is good to do, what is expected. Yeah. So briefing is setting that intention, almost a prayer of sorts. You could look at it, a pre-programming, as Tom would call it. And then let it go. You have what you talked about, let the event, because plans don't always stay plans, or they might stay plans, but you're not going to get to do them. And so having the vision of how things could go also, when it starts to change direction, gives you more awareness of the fact that it's changing direction, right? And then debriefing. So debriefing, coming together after the fact. And art class. I grew up doing art class in high school, and I always liked the, constructive criticism. What do you see? And this is where nonviolent community. What did you see in the day? What did you see in the event? What did you see in this thing we're debriefing? What does seeing that make you feel? Or not make you feel? I try to, I fall into that. But what do you feel when you see those things? What are you feeling when you see those things? And then, what do you need out of it, right? And with art, one of the things is like a widgie. We talk about a distraction, a smear that catches your eye. So you're in art, maybe the picture you want your eye to go kind of travel around is what I was always kind of taught. You don't want to get stuck on one thing. You kind of want to help the viewer move their eyes around the painting or the picture or whatever. And that's composition, is so that you can have shapes that allow that to happen. And then you sometimes have this widgie, sometimes you have this distraction that'll pull your attention. And doesn't mean the whole piece is bad. And so it's also important to, what went really well and what went not so well. And what do you need in the future to make more things go well and to make the things that didn't go well go better so that they go well. And, debriefing allows us to celebrate successes. I think that's huge in all this work, is celebrating yourself, celebrating your little tiny successes, being stoked, and then celebrating each other, celebrating the people around you and their little successes. Not being end goal, total idealist focused. And it's good to have the ideal in mind, and it's good to look back on the briefing and think about what didn't go well, what did, and why did it not go to plan. And yeah, these briefing and debriefing can exist on a large scale or a small scale, right? So before I made this video, I tried to collect my thoughts a little bit. I had, all right, how do I want this to go? And then afterwards, I'll do the same. I'll be like, I get to watch it, get to listen to it, and yeah. So for a little thing that I'm doing, I'm briefing and debriefing myself, whether I know it or not. But bringing attention to it helps, right? So if I'm doing it and I've rushed through it, my briefing, or right, it can be less organized. So don't let the rush, because everything's going to be more efficient if you have your mise en place. If you have everything in its place, and you know what tools you need, you know what ingredients you need, you know what space you need to use, and what it's going to look like, briefing. How'd it go? Debriefing. Right, cool. Moving on. Sit spot. So, sit spot is one of these super foundational skills that Tom Brown teaches, that a lot of cultures teach, that a lot of doctors say is really good for you. And you could think of it as meditation, but that's just kind of one option maybe for your sit spot. And we can think about it in a lot of different ways. And so the first thing I want you to just establish is somewhere that you can go sit, or even if you don't have somewhere exactly yet that you think is a good spot, go and sit and surrender to your senses. Listen, smell, listen far away, taste the air, right? Feel the temperature, feel the air, right? And then you can look around. You can do that all with eyes closed, but we're gonna just sit and listen to whatever landscape we're in. And this can be anywhere, city, country, inside or outside. Outside's better. Your inside goes through less change over time. The inside of a house is not going to be like awakening with the dawn and the sunrise, sunset activity. But if you don't have a practice of meditation, even if you do, sitting in kind of this way of a little more active, maybe than a meditation where you're laying down and eyes closed. And yeah, if you do this, you do it every day, you're going to get stories. You're going to get things that happen in the landscape where you are. I used to do this on top of a parking garage in Philadelphia. I talked about in this post that you can check out, but the city goes through these pulses, right? Rush hours is the morning pulse, and the forest and the city both have this rush hour pulse. And so I would sit on top of this parking garage. And another concept that I'll eventually, write some stuff about, but like might as well talk about it, and you can pick it up now. And you probably might already do this, but wide angle vision is huge. Being able to be peripheral, so like wide field of view and being attuned to motion. And so yeah, wide angle vision in your sit spot. And on top of this parking garage, my wide angle vision, I could see all the traffic lights for very far change red, green, the cars pulsing, hear the car accidents and the police cars and where are they going, and really, really cool. I had a lot of fun at that sit spot, and any sit spot I've ever had has been really fulfilling. And it's something that I fall out of the cycle of, right? We get these habits that sometimes we don't keep. But a group of people is why I'm starting this, so that we can help each other, so we can hear each other's stories of what happened and what we're learning in our sit spots. Yeah. So that's where we're starting. I feel an urgency to get started with this stuff, and there's a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety these days of just where we're headed, and I'm worried about kids, and I'm worried about our social skills, and I'm worried about losing really good things. Because imagine if the knowledge of fire disappeared from your village of how to make friction fire if it didn't get passed on. And you start over. You're just a human on the earth with no knowledge of fire. And every culture has a glimpse and a perspective into things that we can't understand, and it's really arrogant to think that we have a glimpse because we have science and we have a knowledge. We're in the, my friend was telling me, and I don't know the details to get it historically accurate and the numbers and all this, the years and whatever, but South Pacific, right? Like all those island chains, right? There's a water boating people, right? A lot of them, a lot of water tribes in that whole chain of. I'd love to go there. I've never been. But these water people, navigated through stars and were experts at watching clouds and experts at watching the water and the textures of the water and the size of the waves, and they had words for very detailed descriptions of what water looks like, what the water was looking like, and what the water was doing, and what the clouds were doing. But yeah, mainly about this water texture. There were these very many words for these water textures, and I have a glimpse into this. I did some canoeing, and I started to. There were water textures and patterns that I became really connected to. Like, I still remember them very clearly. That when there was these like mellow times on the water, there'd be these wider shapes, big wide shapes, and when more ripples as you get wind and all these things, right? But these wide shapes always grabbed my attention, and I imagine if you were people who had been looking at these shapes for thousands of years and passing them on, dear God, how incredible your descriptions of with just one word could get, right? Because it's just representation. What are we trying to say with these words? And you get, we're able to describe colors with very many words, and so it's not different. We're very genius symbol makers, right? But those languages disappear, and these languages of movement, these languages of art and expression, and the ability to even just tell our stories and make sure they get passed on, because how many generations can you look back and tell the story of who and what your families were doing? We lost it all. I lost it all. I don't have much knowledge past grandpa, grandma, great grandpa, great. It's like, who knows? What epic things did they do? What were they really good at? What got lost? So, anyway, if that hits you on any level and inspires you, it inspires me. That idea of, things can disappear. And those things that when we talk about what is sacred, maybe those things that we're holding, that if they left, we'd be just different. So that's what I got for you today. I'm going to do a bunch of these. I'm excited about it. I hope you're excited about it. I'm going to do some little movement tutorials, small. I don't like Zoom. I don't like Zoom, and I don't like follow along. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to give you some things that you can work on yourself, so we're not stuck in front of screens. And I'm gonna try to use my time in front of the screen to give back to you and to these kids, and to try to make sure that we all keep getting better and better and better and better. And I think that's it. Check out the new website if you haven't. It's myname.com. That took me a little bit of courage, but I did it. And yeah, I got some art that I'm going to be selling, some cool t-shirts made from the art, and my music's up there. My schedule in this area in Northern California is up there. And then I'll be interviewing people and hosting people who have awesome things to share is my plan. And yeah, it's gonna be dope. I'm really excited about it, and I hope I'm already feeling the support, and I'm just like loving that and loving the connection. And yeah, it's a big opportunity and a big destiny to be able to communicate, and let's do it more and more and more and more in a better and better way, and get more done and make it easy and fun. And we'll talk more about that. I hit some heavy topics maybe, but I'm trying to just introduce you guys to a few key things and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Luke. And yeah, we'll get into some games and fun things soon. That's definitely priority, so I feel that. Awesome, yeah, the birds are going nuts. I hope you all have a great day. And yeah, we kind of did a sit spot together just now, if you listen to this whole thing, and you can kind of hear the change in what the bird activity is doing. Wild. So, peace, guys. Much love. I think I can sign off now. All right, bye.